We're coming live to you today from my desk. We're about to go over how to make a cheap, efficient mocap helmet for your needs and also a moderately better one that makes you look fabulous. Let's get into the video now.
You know what time it is. Let's roll.
Today, we're going to be going over these mocap helmets, and this is the Prius of mocap helmets. Probably the PT Cruiser, but I like the sponge and it gives it a little bit of class. It's more like the bow tie edition of the PT Cruiser. So basically what we have is we have a bike helmet that we found at Goodwill that's super adjustable for big, large, small heads, which is something you should account for when making your own mocap helmet. Unless you're doing it for yourself, then you don't need to worry about it. Basically what we did is we found a selfie stick at like a market, and then what we did from there is instead of like using the camera for your cell phone, we got a webcam so it can be directly plugged into a computer. You could also use this if you wanted to use an iPhone or that sort of thing, especially with all the depth camera stuff that's happening. And you can make a more sturdy, I would say sturdy version, because this is more of a cheaper selfie stick cam. We also used a sponge to get the right angle to basically dampen the effect of the angle of the selfie stick to allow us to adjust it and freely move it accordingly. What you really need for this is you need zip ties, you need a helmet, a bike helmet, and you would also need a camera. This is a Microsoft camera. I'll put that in the link in the description, but I would use this Logitech one. I've had much better luck with face blur using this rather than this camera. This camera has a problem with autofocus. This camera tends to autofocus way more deliberately and more efficiently. So now let's go into the Escalades of DYI mocap helmets.
Loaded and ready to roll.
The Escalade of DYI mocap. No, but seriously, we're going to be showing you how to make this. This is the upper view, so now let's turn it over. And so we're going to be using a Pro Tech skateboarding helmet for this tutorial, but I would recommend using any type of skateboarding helmet, especially one that allows you for more movement and adjustability for larger or smaller heads. The Pro Tech helmet, I tend to find it has a harder time adjusting than the other mocap helmet that I previously showed you guys. So our primary camera for this is the GoPro. Again, you could use this accessory or any accessory and use the other motion capture helmet or other cameras that I showed you earlier. But in this instance, we tried using the GoPro here. Regardless, using this GoPro function up here, these mounts allowed us to have a pretty unique DYI mocap helmet. So basically what you want to do is you want to find the curvature ones online. I'll link all that in the below. And what you want to do is you want to put the adhesive stick on this mount, which would be the curvature one, with this curved plate. These curved plates actually pop in and out, so they can actually go on any one. So this is a straight one, but also we have this curvature one that you could also place in there. So make sure when we do this is you first want to start here. So you drill a hole into these two metal strips, and you would mount this first. And you make sure that this is really long because we really want to maximize the exposure to the face. So you're asking yourself, how do you freaking figure that out? So what we did is, my friend and I, this is really a two-person job. So I would put the camera here, I would take a photo and see how much exposure I would get, and then I would keep moving it back. I think that in retrospect, I would have liked to move it back a little bit more, but we were trying to have a mount so the actor in the scene could view the experience. What I mean by that is that we were designing this mocap helmet to be able to show the actor what's happening in scene. Basically, they would do a VR improv scene and they would be performing and they would be able to see around their environment by having this mount right here. By the way we did it, this could also not be there if we're just doing a recording session. So the secondary thing we want to do, after we do this and we drill this hole and we mount this on, would be, excuse me, would be to put this one down. Basically, after having this one, this is going to drop up and down, and you want to make sure that this has an even balance so that it gets the right amount of support so there's not too much weight on this side. The only negatives to this helmet is that we have this weight on the back to make sure the helmet doesn't go slide forward because we have a lot of weight on this side versus the other mocap helmet seems to be better balanced. I would recommend gluing this because the arm mount right here is very tough to like keep in a proper place, even if you like really squeeze it tight. there'll be a couple accessories that I'll be putting in the link description and putting some photos up. But basically, you're just screwing these in using the mounts that are in the GoPro accessories, like these arm mounts that allow you to make lots of different flexible accessories. So now let's deep dive into when we do a performance with GoPro in real time.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get rolling.
So this is the other motion capture helmet. I just want to give you an idea of basically what we did. I took the back of this off because we needed the extra plate to put the camera on, but you can see that we scratched this a little bit to make sure that it would stay on more. It would stay on better because the first one was our first attempt, so we could have 2 mocap helmets. But this is just another idea of like how it looks not completely finalized, but we still have the curvature, and we have the curvature one right here to make sure that we have the proper angle. So let's get into the real meat of what I was originally going to talk about. Is we have this Magwell HDMI converter. And so I would highly recommend this if you're streaming or if you're doing motion capture. It's a great accessory to have in your arsenal. It's kind of expensive. It's not the cheap DYI as the other one was, but we have this. This plugs into USB. And then this also, this is how we actually get this video into the computer. So we use this GoPro 5. I believe that's what it is. And then also we use this mini HDMI converter. So there's a mini HDMI. And what it does is it goes directly to this. And basically what it does is it streams this footage live into the game engine, allowing for a streaming performance when you're doing facial capture. We tend to use faceware, which is some footage right here of that. I would not recommend using, I guess, the GoPro because it tends to only work at 29 frames per second, because in faceware it overrides the actual settings where you can convert that. This is just a little bit of tips and tricks. I'll go into faceware and a little bit more into that later, but this is just a little bit of DYI mocap with Lou. Thanks for riding in this Escalade.